Hello second year, it's Mrs McInnes here. Today's lesson we are going to be looking at our speed, distance and time formulas. So I know you've been doing some work so far on 12 and 24 hour time, and then also I know yesterday you were looking at calculating time intervals. So we're now going to kind of look at the core of this topic, okay? So that's going to be being able to calculate these three variables when you are given 2 out of the 3 pieces of information, all right? So your learning intention today, we're going to specifically be looking at how to calculate distance when we've been given the speed and the time, all right? So that's what we're going to be focusing on for this lesson. So here you can see that we have a little visual representation of our 3 formulas, okay? And this is going to be a little tool that you can use. You can jot it down onto your jotter page and it will help you to remember which way round the formulas go. Alright, so today we're going to be looking at distance, and what I want you to imagine is if you were to cover up the D in the triangle for distance, if you were to sort of cover that up and imagine that wasn't there, the 2 letters that remain are S and T, and they're side by side in the triangle. Now what we would know from algebra is that if 2 letters are side by side, it's a multiply, okay? So that's where this formula up here comes from. Distance is equal to speed times your time, all right? If we were to look at calculating speed, for example, next, okay, if you were to cover up the S for speed, you're left with the D on the top over the T on the bottom, okay? And we know that something over something is a divide. That's where that formula for speed comes from, okay? Distance over time. So that's the division, okay? And it's very similar for your formula for time as well. So if you were to cover up the T for time, you're left with distance over speed, and that's where that formula comes from. Time is equal to distance over speed. Now I know I've ran through those 3 really quickly, but we are only today going to be focusing on looking at the formula for distance, okay? So it's the only one that's a multiply out of the 3, alright? So I'm going to do just a few very straightforward examples with you. So here's the first example. We have here, calculate how far a car travels when driving at 50 miles an hour for 3 hours. So what I would encourage you to do for all of these questions for the next sort of section of work is to write out your 3 variables, distance, speed and time, and write out what you have, okay? And that will help you decide what you're being asked for, okay? So this question says, calculate how far a car is travelling when driving at 50 miles per hour. Now, miles per hour is a unit of speed, so that is your speed, so you could write in there 50 miles per hour, okay? This car is travelling for 3 hours, okay? Hours is obviously a unit of time, so 3 hours is your time. What that leaves you with is a blank space for distance. The question does say calculate how far, so it is asking you for a distance, okay, but the wording will sometimes be different in different questions, so using this tool of writing out the 3 variables is quite helpful, alright? So if we were to quickly jot down our triangle, we've got distance, speed and then time, okay? And we're going to use that to remind ourselves that if you were to cover up the D for distance, we're left with S and T side by side. So your formula is distance equals speed times time, okay? And you need to start writing the formulas out so that you memorise them, okay? Your next line down, we're going to fill in our variables. Now we don't need to put the units in, it's just the numbers, okay? So it's 50 for speed and then 3 for your time. That then gives you 150, and we need our units. Now, your units will come from your speed, okay? So because the speed was 50 miles per hour, this distance is in miles, okay? So you will get that from the information in the question, alright? So this is really what I'm looking for you guys to practice today, alright? So let's do a second question. So example 2 says calculate how far a bus travels when travelling at 45 kilometres an hour for 2 hours. So again, we'll write out our 3 variables, distance, speed and time. So we have our speed here of 45 kilometres per hour, so 45 kilometres per hour. And we have our time, which is 2 hours. And again, we're left with the blank space for distance. The question does say how far is this bus travelling, so that is asking for a distance. So again, the same formula, distance equals speed times time. So we'll put in our values, 45 for speed and 2 for our time. 45 times 2 is obviously 90. Now your units here are different. This speed is given in kilometres per hour, so this distance is in kilometres. Alright. One final example for you, example 3. I've just worded it slightly differently. So this one says a train leaves Glasgow at 13:15 and arrives in Blackpool at 16:15. It travels at a speed of 70 miles per hour. How far does it travel? So we're going to start the same way as before, distance, speed and time. So what do we have in the question? Well, we've got our speed of 70 miles per hour, so we can put that in, 70 miles per hour. Now your time you would have to work out for yourself, okay? So you're told that this train leaves at 13:15 and it arrives at 16:15. So that's a fairly straightforward time to calculate. You're looking at the time between 1:15 and 4:15. We should be comfortable with these 24-hour times from your previous work. So that's obviously a time of 3 hours. Okay, so you can pop that in as your time, 3 hours. Again, leaving us with the distance as the missing variable. So distance equals speed times time. So for this question, it will be 70 times 3. So that's 210. And then your units here were miles per hour. So it's miles for your units, all right? So what I would like you to do today from your booklet is page 11, exercise 9. Okay, so there are a range of questions there. I have covered examples that will cover the types of questions on the exercise, all right? If you have any questions or you need any help, please make sure you ask the teacher that's available, and I will speak to you all in the next lesson. All right, have a nice day. Bye.